Hello, everybody. This is Cremechiss. We are so excited about today's episode. Uh, First of all, thank you so much for all the love you have been showing us for the previous videos. We really appreciate all the attention that the videos are getting. We appreciate your subscription. We really want you to start commenting. So please leave us some comments, leave us some feedback. Tell us what you're thinking. Give us suggestions for the upcoming videos that we would like to release as well. Tell us what you love about it, and maybe we'll do more of those segments. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And because we have had a dark couple of weeks, Sank and I, um, we uh, Suri and Sank are very, very passionate about movies, but there is a rabbit hole that exists in our movie universe, which is only about like twisted drama and about crime and horror. And we are not going to do that today. We're going to do something very feel good, and we're going to do something which is full of life, and it's full of these cute little moments that I bet has happened in pretty much anyone's teenage years, but in a way that makes I don't know, makes sense to perhaps people who had rules growing up and had parents who were a bit strict and had norms of society to face, probably had like certain political issues brewing in the corner underneath the surface, but still within all of that chaos, there existed this very sweet group of girls, and they call themselves the Derry Girls. And there is this fantastic show on Netflix. It has how many seasons? 3 seasons? 4 seasons? Sank?
I think four, but
Um,
it's always easy breezy because
yes.
every season in Britain is like what six episodes or something.
Yes, and it is really low commitment, kind of a show. There is a continuity to the storyline. It's not like every episode is a new story. There is a certain amount of continuity, but I can guarantee you, you can pick any episode from season one right now, and you would love it, and you would not feel like you're being kind of thrown into the universe without any context. They have done the story so well, and there is, like I said earlier, there is a background about stuff which is not very hunky-dory, but the comedy in this show about these girls and their upbringing is so sweet, and it is so alien to especially to like a person like me, because I never had a full-fledged introduction to Irish accent, Irish culture at all. Like I have seen, the occasional one character kind of show up in some random movie where they're playing the fiance or the best friend of the main actor or something like that, and they're there for some form of distraction. But I have never seen a full-fledged cast with with their like thick Indian thick Irish accent, and uh basically just uh, introducing such a sweet sounding language to me, because I grew up around so many Indian languages and they all sounded so sweet to my ears. I never fathomed that the Irish accent, which is a bit hard to get used to, so maybe keep your subtitles on when you're watching it, is so adorable when you get a hang of it. And I would recommend this show to anyone who has a Netflix account or can stream it in some way where they can get the subtitles. It is just so adorable.
Yep, it's actually it's criminal how underrated the show is.
Yeah.
Like just because it's Irish and just because we can't pronounce Saoirse Ronan properly doesn't mean we won't understand the accent, right? Like so yeah, so that should not be the reason for you to skip this show because like you said, it's adorable. I'm saying this because even though you might find the accent like very alien in certain situations, the sitcom aspect of it I think is very relatable.
Yeah.
It's as relatable as any other sitcom that we watch. Like I'll go one up and I'll just say that I've never connected with a friends group in any other sitcom like I've connected with these people.
Yeah.
It's and the reason why I'll tell you why. So so the sitcoms like groups like Friends and How I Met Your Mother and even The Office, like they're also well knit. But I've never seen a more self-contained group as the Derry Girls.
Yeah.
It's like the other groups are great, but they also have their own personal lives. They have a best friend within the group. They have a romantic partner as well. Basically, their relationship is not as uniform with everyone, right? But that's not the case here. It's like they all have an equal rapport with each other. They're a proper family in every sense of the word. They are with each other almost every time,
Mm.
at home, at school. They do everything together. They even fight because of that, because they're always together. They have fights. They have a lot of fights, ugly ones too.
They have no sense of boundaries. They're very
Yeah,
codependent teenagers. Like
and
there was this, uh,
that's exactly what families are like, right?
yeah,
That's why I
pretty
feel
much.
like
Like they're kind of a pack of cousins you can't get rid
yeah,
of. And there is a, and they're not cousins. They're all actually just friends. And do you remember that scene where a wedding happens? And I think one of our central characters, Erin Quinn, her mom is invited to this wedding, and basically her sister shows up in a white wedding gown. So she's already embarrassed that that she upstages the bride, and and the reception lunch starts immediately, and this mother still reeling in from this embarrassment, and then she sees her daughter has invited like these uh, five other friends, or four other friends. It's like, I told you could invite one friend. There are four people here. It's like, and immediately, my favorite character in the show is Michelle Malone. She is like, we come in a pack. We cannot really be separated. That's pretty much how it goes. And that is, if that isn't the setup of the universe, that everything that happens in the show, it doesn't happen to show like, oh my god, let's see how these individuals are going through things and show their individual journeys. No, they're always together. They're always hanging out. And the show has like these cute little nuances where you see them, getting ready for school, and they walk into each other's homes and they grab a piece of toast and they butter it up, and there is no sense of decorum. It's like, that's my friend's home. I eat there. My her mom also cooks for me, and that's what I love about the Derry Girls universe, because I think we've all had some friend who was, you never really called them your friend because it was weird to say that. Like, you can't, like, oh, this is my friend. And then of course the best friend gambit came, right? Say, oh, this is my best friend, which is again, those people, you're kind of stuck with them. You don't really have a label for them. It's not romantic, it's not platonic, it's just they're there. They've always
yeah,
been there. You grew up with them. And that's the premise of Derry Girls.
yeah, yeah. They're all each other's best friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
except for James. He always gets bullied.
Oh, yes.
James is like uh, the first time when we meet him, he's like he's English. He's not Irish. He's Michelle's cousin.
He's
Michelle,
Michelle
right?
Doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Michelle's cousin. So he's speaking in an English accent, and Orla, he's like, why is he making that funny noise? Like, because he's English, that's how they talk. Because my aunt Kathy, she went to England to get an abortion, and she never came back. Where apparently she never got that abortion either, because he was James. That's how you introduce a character like James, because he's probably the most logical, probably the most mature of the lot. But we never get to know that, because sometimes he makes like sometimes he makes logical things, like the time when they are lost. They're
Yeah.
lost somewhere, and they're all freaking out and getting scared. And James is like, why aren't we just calling the police? And they still bully him. They're like, that's not how it works here. Then how else does it work? You tell me. He shouts at them
Yes.
like, calm down, James.
You
Yeah,
do
you
a
don't have
good
to be such
Irish
a dick.
accent.
Yeah, you don't have to be such a dick about it.
Oh my God.
He
You do
always gets bullied.
you do a good Irish accent. I envy that about you. You do a really good Irish accent, to the point where, like, it's not caricaturish. Like you do it like the way they say it. Like that's what I appreciate about it.
I heard about that. I'm just remember in the first episode when James wants to go into, like, he wants to use the bathroom and he asks them, where's the boys' toilet? And Michelle says, it's a girls' school, deck face. There's no boys' toilet. There's
That's the
no there's
context of
no
James, right?
unfunny. No, the fact that you're telling me that I have a great Irish accent, but there's no unfunny way of saying deck.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
It
You can
no
never
matter
say
how
that
you
word
say,
seriously ever.
yeah,
Yeah,
deck face.
yeah. James is quite sweet though. Like he's just a sweet little boy. He's a cousin of one of these lovely girls, and he is he's, if anyone hasn't watched this show, like please take into consideration that the reason they could not put him in a boys school is because he is English, and that's the problem. Like he'll get bullied and beaten up in that school, so for his safety's sake he is instead put in an all girls school, an all girls Catholic school. And he kind of goes around asking everybody, right? Like, okay, so if can I then just go to the girls' restroom? And the nun, who is like, oh my God, I love, love the sister that runs the whole school. She
Oh
is
yeah,
so good
Sister
at her job.
Michael,
Yes.
Sister George Michael is my favorite.
Yes. Like I love her. She is so
You know,
funny.
you know how I love British humor, right? Like the reason why I love British humor is because of the, dry wit, and I
Yeah.
love that. Like there's nothing more amazing and sexier about a character than them just cracking the most smartest jokes with the straightest face possible.
Yes. Yes.
And that's Sister Michael for you.
Hmm.
Like I want a rap battle between Sister Michael and like Tony Stark or someone like,
Oh yeah.
you know.
The interesting part of even her conversations is that she has no, not like she doesn't have any empathy for any of them. She hates them all. Like that's the beauty of like of this character, because first of all, portrayed so well. What a great actress.
Yeah,
Second
I
of all,
want
mhm,
I want a T-shirt of her just rolling her eyes and saying Christ. There's a mural, by the way. I'll
yes,
put it up on the edit. There's a
yes,
mural of her. She's rolling her eyes. I want that on a T-shirt. I'll
because
probably
it's
get it.
fantastic, because
Yeah.
it's not even her, necessarily, like, giving up on the general nonsense that goes around with all the girls and James in general. But her she kind of has a very wonderful, great skeptic, cynical version of her, right? That, like, when she's having a conversation about apartment and boardings and stuff, and said that is a small part of why I became a nun, free accommodation. And I was like, and you're like, oh my God, you're running a Catholic school. You cannot say this out loud. And she doesn't care. Like they have this wonderful thing that happens in almost every episode where they show the morning assembly thing, which for me was like, it was so nostalgic, because we had a morning assembly where they would announce on the mic, and there would be like, I don't know, like prayer to start the day or something like that, and or the school anthem or the national anthem, something. And they had those things, the little morning assemblies. And there's like this one girl who's like a stickler for the rules, and she's set up the show, and she's written the lyrics of the song, and it's not a very good song. And the song ends, and Sister Michael like basically goes, "Lovely. Did you write the lyrics yourself?" I said, "Yes, Sister Michael, I did." Don't you think you have too much time on your hands? Like, zero appreciation, complete destruction, like immediately. Like
There's another
no.
song like they sing, remember? Like,
Mhm.
uh, I don't know which one is that. Uh, I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. That song. I don't. I don't know
Uh-huh.
the name of the song.
Uh-huh.
And like they're singing, and she's super bored, and he's like, didn't I put this song on the band list?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
then they complete it and like make sure that's on the band list.
yeah, and she's interesting, because although she is like, she kind of enjoys the torment or the authority that she has. Like when James goes up to her and asks her, like, since there are no girls like restrooms here, like, so no boys restrooms here, so can I just go to the girls restroom? And then she looks at her and said, are you mad? Like, no, you can't go to the girls restroom. And the like, she knows that there is no other way for him to, like, relieve himself, but she doesn't care. That is just the general premise of Sister Michael. She does not care. She wears her habit and everything, and she'll show up guns blazing, and everybody will just shh. Like, they are so terrified of her. And we had one of those in my school, where, and I don't want to name her, but she also had, um like, her name also had the word Michael in it, surprisingly. And
Hmm.
she was
Wow, I didn't
just
know Steve Carell taught in your school.
no, she was a, like, very sweet woman, like very caring towards, like, especially like all the kids who were like in the finals and trying to get their 10th grade exams out, which is a very big deal in India. She was very, like, very disciplinary. She filled out each one of our forms by hand when we were entering for the exam. She didn't leave that to any of us. And she did it on a specific time, following a ritual so that it would be on the most auspicious hour. Like, she was a complete stickler for the rules. But this one day happened where I think she had something like some surgery in her eye or something. And she showed up with sunglasses. And everybody was so terrified because we didn't know where she was looking. And when I saw Sister Michael and I saw her like stand up, like in the assemblies and go, girls, I am not going to say this one more time. Like, the dread and the fear that comes in, like, from one authority. That's exactly what I felt, like, as a student, as a child, where there's like this one person who you respect, who is also the person that you'll go to if you're in trouble. But because of the authoritarian kind of position they hold, you are so terrified of them. And that's the entire joke of the show, that everybody kind of abandons the girls in some way, except for Sister Michael. She never abandons them. She's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
there for them.
And that's such a great combination, right? Like
Yes.
someone who's a disciplinarian, that combined with someone who cares for you and is
Yes.
also sarcastic about it.
Yes.
Like
Very sarcastic.
she is straightforward. You don't expect from someone who is a disciplinarian like that. Like the fact that they're opening their exam results envelope and like, should we pray before it? Like, yeah, the Lord will forget about famine and hunger in the world, and they'll concentrate on some girl in Derry and change and miraculously change the contents of an envelope.
And have you noticed that she doesn't specifically care for anyone in the institution either? Like, when they bring there's like this doll or something that shows up, where they are kind of, I think, looking into, it's like a baby Jesus doll, but it has like a red robe and a red crown. And they give that porcelain doll on loan, basically. And you're supposed to give it to the next school in Delhi. You're not supposed to keep it with you forever. So a man comes to retrieve the doll from Sister Michael, and Sister Michael immediately says, uh, this has really, brightened up my office. I really appreciate this loan. And please inform the bishop that I will not be lending this to anybody else, and it will remain in my office. And if he has a problem with that, to talk to me about it. And she just refuses to give up the loan. She's like, no, I'm not going to give up the doll. It looks nice in my office. She has like no, she's not afraid of the hierarchy or anything in the institution. She knows that she has her faith and her belief. She does not impose that on anyone else. There's this really badass moment where she prevents the girls from publishing an article about a girl who is kind of like coming out of the closet through the article. And she says that I'm sorry, I cannot allow you to publish this as per school policy. And she then kind of doesn't, like, she walks away from that. And then the next day she sees that there are like hundreds of copies floating around the school anyway. And one of the girls says that you have to do something to stop this. And she looks at the article, she looks at the title, and she clearly knows that it is somebody trying to come out of the closet. And she says, I don't see any article. And she walks away. That's it. No
Hmm.
explanation, no riveting speech about, like homophobia or anything. Just, nope, I never saw this article. I don't care if it is published. And she just walked away. Like, and this is a common theme in Derry Girls. Like, Michelle's mom, when she comes for something to Erin Quinn's house, she says, I know that James is my nephew, but I have such a big hatred for him. And Erin's mother is basically making arrangements to like go somewhere, and she basically, has room for only her child and her other daughter or whatever. So Michelle's mother says like, "Oh, can you please take Michelle and James with you?" And she goes like, "I'm sorry, there's barely any room for us." And the knee jerk reaction is like, why? Because he's English. Yeah, I too have a hatred for him that I cannot just ignore. But like I look at him with so much hatred. Sometimes you have no idea, but I can't help it. He's my nephew. And the mother immediately says, no, not because he's English, because I genuinely don't have any space. And then the woman goes, oh, why? Is it because he's gay? That's why, because I will not stand for that. Like they're okay with being racist against the English, but they're but homophobia will not fly. Like the tones that bleed into each other are so cute, where they just like they have, of course, a violent history with the British, and that they have explained that over and over again. And if anyone is paying attention, and anyone who understands the history of colonization, will immediately like pick up on the fact that they're not trying to give a lecture. They basically just very um they're very much on alert around anything that is not familiar to them, and they try to welcome it, but then there are so many misunderstandings that happen because of it. It's like the Protestants versus the Catholics. That episode, I loved that episode, where they were just they had nothing in common to say about each other, even though they're actually talking about the same things. Like I love that the theme is consistent, where they've spoken about things which are clearly like uncomfortable, but in a way that makes sense to people who are not part of that universe. And that's the beauty of the storytelling.
And the parents are also like so similar to the kids, right? Like there's an episode where we see how they were like when they were in school, and the show doesn't like even like try to explain who's moms and anything. We immediately know who's what. Who's your favorite character of the lot? You said Michelle, right?
My favorite character is Michelle. I just think she's just hilarious. I think half of the fun that they have is because she's getting them into trouble. That's the part that I love about her. Like I obviously I love Sister Michael. If somebody ever said like who would you want to be friends with, I would love to be friends with Sister Michael. Although I doubt she would ever want to talk to me. She would reject me immediately. Like she's
Yeah.
too cool for me.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Yeah.
has no room for anybody. There's this
Oh,
episode where she's driving somewhere and she's in a sports car and she has worn her sunglasses and she's like,
DeLorean
yes, and she's zooming
from Back to
away.
the Future.
Yes, she's zooming away and she's having like such a good time and she's just happy. She's content in herself. Like she's the stark opposite of the central characters. The central characters are very codependent, very clingy. They get jealous if someone makes friends outside of the group. Like the very typical things that happen in friend circles, right? Like there's one summer vacation where they're like, oh, let's make a movie together. Like they don't even pick up hobbies which are separate. Everything they do, they do together. And Sister Michael, on the other hand, whatever she does not want to be like talking to anybody. Like her the interactions that she truly wants is if she can beat someone up. She has karate class and then she like shows up in her habit and the karate outfit, and she, because she hears like some rustling in some classroom somewhere, and she's like, you better not be an intruder because I really could kick your ass. And she's like like really excited to like torment someone, but she does not want to interact with them.
So she already can verbally assault someone.
Yes.
Now she's learning to physically do that also. Like uh her laughing while reading The Exorcist is a proper mood.
Yes.
I I never not crack when I see that scene.
Yes.
It's a very passing moment,
Yes.
but she's like looking at she's reading The Exorcist and like
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like,
of course she finds The Exorcist.
Yeah, she thinks
comedy.
it's hilarious, and it's not even like it's like an exhale of hair, like of air. It's not even like hysterical laughter. It's more like, oh, this is adorable. Like,
Yeah. Okay. My favorite of the lot, like my favorite character in the show is obviously Sister George Michael.
hmm.
My favorite of the lot is Orla. I think
Oh,
Orla is adorable. Like she doesn't care how she presents herself. If there's anyone that like I want to be friends with in school, it would be Orla because I know that she would let me be the way I am. Like she's always, I
unless
don't
you're
know.
James.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah, yeah. Remember the time when like they need a man to guard, and Erin says, "All we need a man. We need someone manly to guard," and then Ola, you should do it. And James feels offended because like I'm more of a man than Ola, but
yes,
Ola's like, I doubt that.
yes,
I'm taking offense to that.
yes,
Like she is that.
yes,
She's
yes.
always like, I don't know. She's always absent from the present. Oh, you. She's always absent from the present.
Oh, you had a little philosophical moment. You are
Yeah.
Erin Quinn, because Erin Quinn is always trying to have philosophical moments with her horrible poetry.
Well, yeah, I agree. She's always absent from the present, but I know like she only contributes when she thinks it's necessary, right?
Yes,
Ola. I think she knows like most of the times these people freak out about very small things.
yes,
And her time is like too precious to give a single fuck about anything.
yeah,
I think that's Ola.
yeah.
That's
Um,
like she's always lost in her own world, licking
yeah.
spoons and enjoying the chocolate fountains.
She's a very interesting person because she's the curious child in the group. Like
Yeah.
there's a parent, there's a curious child, there's a moody teenager, there's a like a completely like unaware uncle, like which is James. But there is a there is a there's a beautiful rhythm to her character, especially when you remember that episode where Carla, not Carla, Erin Quinn's a grand aunt passes away, and there is this rumor going on that she passes away because, well, Erin's mother, who is again a phenomenal actress, the woman who plays that character, she basically says, "Oh, drop down dead, you spiteful hag," or something like that, and immediately that woman dies. like like it's a bit tense because everybody's like, oh my god, Erin's mom is like a witch or something. Like they're kind of a bit scared of the family in general, and everybody is trying to get something out of the funeral. So the teenagers are trying to get high, the adults are just trying to get the evening over with, but Orla is like standing by the dead body, and she's like kind of like said, oh my god, she's death really suits her, and she's like picking up her hand and like placing it sweetly, like
Yeah.
she's not afraid, and everybody else is, oh my god, stop touching her.
Yeah.
Like she's not afraid, like she
Like she's
has
cold. She touches her cheeks. Like she's
yeah,
cold.
like she's very cute, like she's actually cute. Like I've seen a lot of articles where they talk about Ola's character, like, oh, she's the weird ditzy one. Like she's not ditzy at all, and she's just cute. She's just very, like, you want to like
Yeah.
brush her hair and feed her
Like
grapes.
they say, in
Adorable.
that episode where she's dancing and someone in front of Erin says, "What a dick," and she says, "She is a dick, but she's my dick."
Yeah,
And then they go on the stage and they
yeah,
dance with Ola. She's our dick.
yeah, and she's kind of, Orla is interesting because remember the prom episode that she, like, all the girls are like scurrying to find a date or something, and Orla invites Erin's well, her grandfather as well. Erin and her have the same grandfather, right? Because Orla is Erin's sister,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Erin's cousin.
They're cousins.
And she's like, they said that I'll have a great time with a fella I really like, and the fella I really like is you, grandpa. And it's so cute, and they have such a great time, like they dance together, and like that episode is really really sweet. Like there are
Yeah.
like these hardcore uh like funny to the point where it doesn't even, you can't even imagine that the story is made up. Like, it sounds like stuff that actually happened. The Butty episode, where they go to a specific shop to get bread and fried chips with curry on it, and the chaos that ensues in that. Ola is like trying to clean up, but somehow she has made the place dirtier. And she's like, I like it better this way. Gives it personality. It's like, she, she's like trying, but like she's not really being able to like work out how to clean up the place. And the other girls are having complete meltdowns. And
Mhm.
because again, Orla is just she's the child, and she's everybody's child, and even her mom is everybody's child. Like,
Yeah,
like
it's like it's like Ola has taken from her. She's like,
yes,
it was almost a conscious decision. Like she sees her mom and she sees someone. She sees a queen, and
yes,
that's what she wants to be also.
absolutely. And
She's
uh,
Ola's also a mood. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
Orla's a queen, like in her own right, because again, the funeral scene for me is like that really suits her, and I'm like, oh my god, and she's so like gentle and sweet, like she's not scared of this woman in any way, and then I think fast forward 7 to 8 minutes into that episode, and then you'll see Erin's mom and her sister, who's Orla's mother. They are like in the room, and Erin's mother goes, oh my God, do you see that? Do you see her ears? And then she's like, the Orla's mother, who the generally when somebody says, do you see that? Like you're talking about a specific thing, like, oh, look at what she's wearing. Orla's mother kind of takes it one step further. Oh my God, she is wearing like pearls. It's making her neck look fat. I was like, no, she's wearing our mother's pearls. Like, she's like, yeah, and also doesn't suit her. Like, she's still like trying to explain that, sure, she stole something from our mom who's no more, but the fact is, like, she's not looking very fashionable. And that's what is more important at this point of
Yeah.
time. Like, they are truly, Orla and Orla's mom are everybody's child. It like
Mhm.
they're shown the generations repeating in a very sweet way. We lost connection like for 5 seconds, and I like Sugg couldn't see me for like 5 seconds. He started doing a dance to like get my attention just because
Yeah,
he couldn't
because
see me.
that's exactly what Ola would do. She would think that that
Yes,
is the
the
most
best.
logical thing for her. It would be the most
Yes.
logical thing. Like that's what I'm saying. Like Derry Girls for me, like the main theme of Derry Girls for me is innocence. Like how these girls are. Like they would think of the things that are happening to them. They think of that as like just the end of the world. Like they're stressed out about just the smallest things ever. And I think like Ola is the biggest example of that. Like she thinks like she's the most innocent of all. She doesn't care about all that. She doesn't care about what these people are freaking out about. She would only come in when she thinks it's right. She would
Yeah.
only contribute when she thinks is right. And that's why like the innocence theme, right? That's that's the reason why I loved the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I thought like the way it ended, it felt like a proper closure to all the characters, not just in the stories that they have, but also it also gives us a feeling like this show has to end because they're not kids anymore. They have matured.
Mhm.
They're not girls of Derry anymore.
No, the Derry women,
Yeah. I would
James
want to
included.
watch. I would want to watch crossover between Derry versus Sex and the City.
Yeah, I guess the timelines would make sense, right? I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
the timelines
It
would.
could it could even be possible. Maybe they grew up and became the four women in Sex
Oh
and the
God,
City.
I hope not. I hope that's not what happened. I like Sex and the City, but no, I hope that's not what happened to them when they grew up.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, uh, Speaking of the girls, Claire Devlin is one of the characters who's always paranoid. She's always scared. She's always like on the edge of madness. She's played by Nicola Coughlan, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Nicola also plays like a very interesting character in Bridgerton as well. And when I saw Derry Girls, I had seen Bridgerton by then, and I was like, I've seen this girl somewhere, but I don't, I'm, why am I not being able to like, place it? It's because she's like a freaking chameleon. There is no, sh- there is no connection between how she's played the Bridgerton character, even in the way she's walking and talking and like handling herself. And obviously that's like a Victorian romance something, and obviously they're not going to dress in the same way, but to have like such a complete like flip in behavior, because Bridgerton is about like very composed, poised, sophisticated type of outlook in society, whereas here she's having meltdowns like every 5 seconds. Like we are introduced to her character where she's like, I'm on a fast, don't give me anything, I'm trying to fast for somebody who's like not had food on the other side of the world or something like that. And then she's like regretting the decision because she's starving and she really wants to eat something. But that decision is kind of like overpowering her now. She, the I love that those characters are there, because in my growing years there was one person who was like very into social causes, but like she didn't have like, she couldn't go through with her decisions like more than half of the time. And that's generally how teenagers are. Like they feel a lot of feelings, but they don't
Hmm.
know how to like enact them, or like impose their own ideals in a way that makes sense to them. And that character is so cute, and everybody's like trying to calm her down always. Like she's the nervous mom.
Yeah, that makes her the purest, right?
Yes, yes,
Like
definitely.
a lot of times, teenagers wouldn't even talk about their feelings, not even in front of their friends.
Hmm.
But she's not that. She trusts them so much that
Yeah,
she only freaks out in front of them.
yeah.
Like, remember that time when she's, I don't know what she's freaking out about. They're in Sister Michael's room, and Sister Michael says, Claire, I think we all agree that we've lost a bit of respect for you today.
Mr. Michael is the best. And this was always how she would address them, right? Like, it's like, okay, we're all going to play a game where one Catholic is going to pair up with one Protestant, and they're going to exchange some information. If you don't understand these simple rules, you may raise your hands and ask a question now. And then Sister Michael goes, I know this much, that if you do ask a question now, you will be judged. And you're like, you kind of see that somebody wants to ask a question and then doesn't. Because like the precedent has been set, like, nope, if you do this, it's going to be shameful for you. And I think
It's the same episode. Yeah, yeah, see.
it's the same episode as the Protestant Catholic, this, where they have the
Is
cliff.
it the same when like they want to note down some differences and similarities, and they're
Yes,
all talking about differences?
they're only talking about,
At one point, Ola's like, Protestants don't listen to ABBA.
yes, the Protestants are taller. And then somebody says Protestants are also richer, and Sister Michael looks at the other I think nun who's there, who's either the Protestant nun or the Protestant representative who's there. Say, is that true? Are Protestants richer? I was like, I didn't know that. I said, yeah, we are significantly richer than Catholics. Like the way they interact with each other is also like so like you're right, like the drive, it is like constantly, it's there, and they have no shame in it. Like they have not tried to like hide or suppress that to make it more mass friendly. And I think that's the reason it is so underrated. I mean, okay, tell me this, Sank. What is your favorite episode from Derry Girls?
uh, my favorite episode. Wow. I never thought about it because like they all feel like a big 50-hour movie for me.
Yeah.
It's just gags. I can say gags, but episode, I think like it can be the one where they are lost. They're going to some concert or something and
Yes.
they're lost. Or the Ukrainian episode where they meet a bunch of,
Yes.
and all are things that Ukrainians glow in the dark because of the radiation.
God. Oh God. And remember the girl that was a guest in Erin's house? wants James. and,
Hmm.
and then they're like, why do you want to sleep with us? He's attractive. It's like, no, he's not. They're like so they're so upset that James is having a good time. That episode's a very good episode. That's a classy episode.
Yeah.
My favorite episode is it's kind of a tie between um okay, so there is this Robin Williams phenomena, right? Like that happened with the Dead Poets Society, Goodwill Hunting, and
Hmm.
it's about the teacher that gives you um, something to look forward to in life. Like they teach you lessons outside of the classroom. But the problem with those characters is that they are essentially movie characters. This does not happen in real life, right? Like Mona Lisa Smiler, Julia Roberts, where she plays like this teacher who gives true meaning of art to her students. Again, it's a really great concept, but it's not this doesn't happen to everybody. It's very rare that you get a teacher like that, right? And the episode where the father comes in, this young man who's very good looking, the priest or the father that comes in, I forget his name. He is he's very
Yeah, I
young,
get what you're saying.
right? Like he's extremely
Yeah, yeah.
young and he's very
And they're all smitten by him.
yes, they all love him, and the girls are like crazy for him. Even
Even
James loves him.
yes, that's what I was. James loves his hair.
Yes, and he wants to like be like him and look like him, and and you see that phenomena repeating again when a very cool teacher starts teaching them English, and she's just uh Miss De Bruyne, I think that's her name. Like she has cat eye makeup, and she wears suspenders and pants, and she's just very cool and very mysterious. And you see this arc where they show these people who come into these students' lives with very cool um demeanors, like like they'll put their legs on the table while they're talking. The father character will like sit on the desk and like try to have a one-on-one conversation. And the reason I really like that particular episode is because of the way they did the continuity of that character. So that episode was basically them like, oh my God, he's so much cooler than Sister Michael. Like he's so easygoing and sweet and everything else. And then it turns out that he leaves the institution to pursue his love for a hairdresser that he was in love with. And this episode then shows up where he comes back again. And Sister Michael was like, so father's joined us again. And if anyone has any questions, they can ask him those questions right now. And then the guy immediately says, you know me, I'm an open book. I want you guys to ask me questions if you have any questions. And this is the episode, the Protestant versus the Catholic episode again, where they're trying to, I think, create some kind of community feeling or whatever. And the first question that comes out of Michelle's mouth. And she says, so what does it feel like to betray your God, to uh, shack up with your slutty hairdresser? And Sister Michael goes, Michelle, raise your hand before you ask a question. Like it's not that she asked an inappropriate question. Like and then she looks at the father and said, yeah, so what was it like to abandon us? And he's like, okay, moving on. Like he's so uncomfortable with what he did, and how he's somehow reinstated. I think there's some kind of hypocrisy over there because he's a man. And they
Hmm.
address that in like 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, that entire scene is like out there. And it, I just love how they have, you know, kind of tailored those stories. If you watch Derry Girls properly, like Sank and I did, there is something about comedy, especially like planned comedy, where you don't want the show to end, but at the same time you get to see that it is a collection of short stories. So one detail kind of leaks into the other, and so on and so forth, and that is so amazing. Like anyone who's about to watch it or is about to rewatch it, because I rewatched it a couple of times in the past couple of days, um please be patient with the series. Like don't like skip through any dialogues. If you are listening to some historical fact or phenomena, look it up and then come back to the episode, because that's what Sank and I were doing, right? Like that's what we were like, wait, what do they mean by they're going to be rioting? And then we went back and we looked it up. Like, wait, what do they mean by the Catholics and Protestants not liking each other? We went and we looked it up again. Like there is there is some amount of historical context which may not make sense, especially to like a person like me. I understand if someone explains it to me. I may not understand it by reading. And this was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
great show for that.
That's why I think like I prefer historical fiction over documentaries,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
even though it's a true fact, I would like to consume it as a story, as a narrative.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a perfect
Yeah,
premise.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It so Derry Girls made me look up the political climate of the 80s and 90s in Ireland.
Yes.
And I actually found out that there is a separate language called Irish, and it's not just them uh, them
Yeah.
using English. They have their own language called Irish.
Hmm.
I didn't know about that
Yeah.
before.
There's so many stereotypes, right? Like get broken. You see an Irish person, you immediately think kilt and red hair, and uh,
Hmm.
no, they're
Leprechauns.
wearing, yeah. Like Erin's dad, especially, was always like being chewed alive by his father-in-law, by Erin's granddad. Like he
Uh,
he's like so
yeah, that
sweet.
has to be that has to be a universal thing. Like,
Yeah,
be it Ireland, be it anywhere.
yeah. It's such a cute cliche where uh, if Erin's father even suggests the smallest thing, the grandfather will go, "Why do you care, you idiot? Why do you care, you prick?" Like he's so like on his throat, and you don't expect that to come in, in a, especially again, this is because every time an Irish character has come in, it is like to show an exotic element. Imagine you not feeling like this is exotic at all. Like these are your people. Like, like, like every time an episode has started, I have sat with like toast and jam to enjoy the episode, because that's their breakfast. They have toast and butter or jam. I
Mm.
tried my first butty after I watched the butty episode. I got bread and I got fries and I got ketchup and I had a jolly good time. So um, maybe get comfortable in the universe. Like go local with the universe. Don't try to separate yourself from it, because it is really enjoyable.
If you need more content to get comfortable, what do we have, Supi?
We have like some really good movies we have reviewed over the past couple of weeks. So
Yes.
last
Oh,
week,
by the way, sorry
yes,
to cut
go
you
ahead, go
again.
ahead.
I just realized this is the first show that we are recommending. We have recommended like
Yes.
shorts like Hibero,
Yes.
Hibero, and we have individual episodes of Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
But as a whole show, I'm so glad that we started with Derry Girls, because
Yes.
what else? Like, it has to be one of the sweetest shows ever, one of the most funniest shows that we've ever seen that has come out of Britain, or even in general. Like,
In general, yeah, in general,
yeah.
it's like such a good show. And we are actually thinking of introducing series that we really love and then seeing how it does with you guys. And if it does well, we are open to doing a episode by episode breakdown. Like there is another great show I watched a couple of weeks ago called Panchayat. It's an Indian show. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a fantastic series. We could just talk about the characters like for a couple of hours. It's so good, but we need to know how we're doing. So last week we did a really good movie. Sank reviewed Garud Gavana Vrishav Vahana. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yay. I also don't know if you pronounce it. Like,
I it's a good movie, guys. If you've not watched it, please go ahead and check it out. Really, really fantastic review. We've Sank has done character analysis. A week before that, we have done Gargi. Again, a really good thriller film, a bit dark, bit twisted. Before that, we did Memories of Murder, Korean cinema, Bong Joon-ho at his finest. We have
this is
been
our version of This will be our version of the depression trilogy.
Yes, it kind of was. It's a dark couple of 3 weeks, which is why we had to break it up with Derry Girls. And we would really appreciate it if you could like, share, subscribe, comment, give us comments. We are hungry for love. We are attention seekers, and we want you to to tell us what we are doing. If it's good, if you want us to try something else, we would really appreciate that recommendation from you guys. And like I said, if you like what we have done with Derry Girls and you want a episode by episode analysis, we are open to that. But we need some feedback from you guys. So please check us out. We really love you, and we'll be back again next week. What am I doing next week? Do you want to give a hint about
This time, again, after roaming around in Belfast and Derry,
it?
this time we're coming back to the Indian subcontinent.
Yes.
I think for the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll be here only.
Yeah.
The one, actually, the one that we're talking about is again a regional pick, a language that we haven't explored before. I don't think we have.
No, we've not.
So yeah, a language and a culture that we have never explored before on the
Yes.
channel.
Yes.
So I want you guys to watch out for that.
I really like that you said culture also, because we've not explored like Irish culture before Derry Girls. The movie I'm going to do next week. It's a movie, guys. We have to figure out how to do the series things, but it's a really cute film. Please check out the review when it comes out next week. I can give you some context to the fact that it has a very similar premise to what we did with Vajda a couple of weeks ago, with Vajda and
Mm.
her cycle. So please check that out. Know that we love you, know that we miss you, and we are hungry for your comments and feedback. So please leave us with some likes, some shares. Give us a shout out if you can. We are on Twitter and Instagram as well under the same name, Cremechiss. This is Suri and Sang saying bye.
Stay safe, guys. Bye.